Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another seat or another recording around TBD for TBD Tavern. Welcome to the table. Please sit down and grab your meat and join us here. My brain is apparently in the Apple Wheel Disc of Doom mode right now, but
That happened to
I
me
am
earlier. Yeah.
I am the co-host, the Wandering Ambu. I'm joined by the ever graceful, ever amazing, wonderful Poppy over here, Silverblaze X. And we're here to talk about Beastars. You know, the anime that people go, why are you watching that? I question if you're a furry. Um, yeah, but it's a good and look, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a good anime. It delves into a lot of things that honestly I think helps with using anthropomorphic creatures because it's the whole like yeah, I'm just gonna say you could argue that yeah, it's like animals and they're drawn in ways, and then there's certain discussions where people go like, that's kind of weird that you're watching that. But like if you really think about what it goes into, it talks about like classism, it talks about racism, it talks about like the when people are mixed and like talking about homogeny and talking about power and rebellion against authority and then status quo and like all these other discussions that are really worth discussing. But I can understand people's hesitation on this show because of it being labeled a furry anime, but like really it's, I mean, I could go on and on, but Silver, I
It,
want to hear your
it, it,
thoughts.
I agree with you. It's basic. Here's how I see it, guys. If you're having a hard time digesting this series, right, or wondering why you should even watch it, it's basically Zootopia, but with sex, lots of sex, and a lot of no, yeah, a lot of sex. That's about it. Yeah.
I mean, fair. That's
And
fair.
unlike Zootopia, it does show the side of, a predator, right? I know in Zootopia we get to see like predators turning into, not even predators. It actually affected even the herbivores, right, to act more violent and stuff. But we actually get to see the eating of people in there. So it gets kind of bloody. It gets pretty dark, how these predators have to live this sort of lifestyle and ignoring their instincts of having to consume flesh. But yeah, it's Utopia but raw and darker. But also with like dealing with a lot of different society, a lot of like society issues, like a lot of issues happening in the world currently still, and showing us, how people are essentially racist. There we are, the R word. Here we are, guys. It's finally here. We made it. Season 2 of the TBD Tavern. We've brought in the big R.
Oh my god.
And
see you later. No kidding.
well, shit. But yeah, it touches on racism too, right? Because this series divides the predators and or carnivores and the omnivore, not omnivores. Omnivores means they eat everything.
Yeah, it actually doesn't really touch upon omnivores. It makes a very clear cut of herbivores and carnivores. Yeah,
herbivore. Right.
Because like the whole entire thing is like examining racism and like stereotyping and like discrimination in a sense of like once a carnivore always a carnivore, like once you eat meat you're always going to want to eat meat, stuff like that, where it gets into touchy points that that a lot of I guess like Zootopia skirted around, if I'm honest, like the whole black market discussion, like that's crazy. Sorry,
yeah, because Zootopia doesn't really touch like how the predators in the cartoon, in the movie, how they eat, right? It doesn't show how they like, because it doesn't really show that they have like any adjustments to their diets. It just seems like people just live and eat whatever they want. But here we actually get to see like the predator, the carnivores having to really majorly adjust their day-to-day diets to make sure that they don't become violent or that they eat their neighbors.
Yeah. Well, and then also like the big mystery for the first two seasons is one of their classmates got murdered and who was the murderer, and the whole discussion
Dun, dun,
on
dun.
could carnivores live with herbivores, because it seemed like they could up until that point, but like um
It
yeah.
was that killing, guys. That's what decided it. That's it. In the entire world, the killing of that one student. Everybody was doing okay until the episode of the anime
I'm
started.
kidding,
We should have
it's
just
really not. But like one of the things I found so interesting was like you were talking about, like, sex and the way that it's utilized, right?
sex.
Because like one of the main characters, her name is Haru, who's Legoshi, who is the MC, his love interest. She talks about how she thought she had to use that to feel equal and to feel like she has power,
Sexy
because
bunny.
that's what, yeah. But like,
He
as the
said,
series
yeah.
goes on, she realizes that she doesn't have to do that anymore, because she finds security in Legoshi, her relationship with him, and like his love for her and all that other stuff. But like, it's stuff like that. I don't even know. I'm so stumbling on this because I
Look,
really want to
look,
talk about
look.
it.
I will say that as a man of culture, I can really appreciate some good henty, but for some reason Beastars doesn't do it for me. Like the way that like the rabbit, the girl rabbit, what's her name, Haru, like
Yeah.
I get it, they give her like this like girl body and they make her all voluptuous and stuff, but the bunny face is just like, ugh, oh wait, ah, no, but maybe no, no, I just can't. It's weird. I can't do it. But go ahead, Umbu. What were we saying?
Well, I think what I like about it is that it shows in this show that even though society looks good and is homogenous and everybody like lives together and all that, that society has its imperfections, right? Because at the end of the day, the B star is this like the top tier, right? Like
Oh, right,
he
the
or
Beast
she
Star.
or
Yeah.
whatever can like basically dictate society, because they're supposed to be the shining example for both species, regardless of if it's a carnivore or herbivore or whatever it may be. Like it's supposed to be the shining, outstanding example of living in coexistence, which I think the show tries to show that it's a flawed philosophy, because you talk about how like this world is supposed to be perfect, like herbivores and carnivores are supposed to live together, everything is in harmony, but then you have like the black market, you have like one of the main characters, Lewis, like his story is he was a deer that was on the black market that was bought by another deer, and like yet he's just one of the many that you wonder what happened to them, but is swept under the rug because there's no stopping it, because there's a market for it. There's discussion on like, again, like drug use and how like that brings out the beast, right? Which is a big part of season 3, which we'll get into. But then also like season 2 is this whole discussion on morality, like with Legoshi and his whole plight of trying to
Who's
become like
Legoshi again?
just the main
Tell us
character,
some.
the
Tell us who
wolf.
Legoshi is. The wolf.
So Legoshi is our main character, the bumbling, stumbling, adorable little giant
Ambu.
wolf
Oh,
boy,
Legoshi. Right.
um, who loves this bunny, Haru, and wants to make it work, but he has to fight his carnivore side. And then they have to figure out how to make it work because it's interspecies, which is a whole other basket
That's a
in
whole
Beastars.
other basket, guys.
Um,
Seriously.
but
It's
like there's
wild, actually. Yeah.
it is. But like, I lost my train of thought. But like basically I think what makes Beastars so good is like it says like here's the image that this society is trying to make you believe is like everybody lives in harmony, but then clearly there's a lot of discrimination and a lot of the seedy underbelly. We got the Shishigumi who like helps with the black market and is like peddling drugs. You've got like like Legoshi's grandfather, who is a Komodo dragon, and like how he's treated because he's venomous and is lesser than. There's so much that goes on in this whole entire thing. Like I think that's what made the show stand out to me a lot, was like it's a weird show and it's dark and it's odd, honestly.
On
But like
taxi.
it
Watch that episode.
but like it does so good in discussing of like how I think it's trying to comment on Japan and how it tries to hide the seediness that's underneath it, right? Like
Ooh, yeah.
that, like, there's the whole clean image that we're given of like it's a great society, everybody is homogenous and all this other stuff. But then like you see the really like the flawed, imperfect side of it.
Yeah.
And how Legoshi is trying to show the audience and also the characters that like the imperfections are what makes it beautiful, like this striving for a perfect society, like um the current Beastar is trying to strive for is like, sure, it's pretty in a sense of like perfection, but the like imperfections is what's also beautiful too, because there's again like the mixed people who are like born from couples that are herbivore and carnivore, like they're treated as outcasts. You don't see them anywhere because they're like, if you're mixed, you are shunned. But they're
From both
there, and I
sides.
think, yeah. So
It's already hard, right? Because like
yeah,
it so really quickly, I'm sorry to make you, if I hopefully I don't make you lose your train of thought again.
you're
But
fine. I lost my train of thought
the
hours ago.
so this series literally builds a universe. It's
Mhm.
not literally a universe, but it builds a universe in the series in the sense that it really touches a lot of different things of society. It starts out small by showing us a school, a murder of a student, right? And then the challenges of the classes of the students, right? The predators and the herbivores. Why am I struggling with the word herbivore? Anyways, it shows us something simple like that, but then we start through Legoshi seeing the challenges of the carnivore, right? And how to a point, in my opinion, how these carnivores even live as second-class citizens in a way, because they have to because the food system and society, the rules of society, are built to protect the herbivores. Food is made for herbivores. The laws say carnivores need to be mindful, need to be respectful, need to do this, and any moment that they step out of line, they're the first ones to kind of get into trouble. They can't eat meat. They have to do this. They have to do that. They have to just completely change the people that they are. While the herbivores don't have to change anything about themselves. They can continue to eat plant-based food, which is what almost, again, is what they serve all the time in school, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to change anything except maybe watching their backs. Once in a while, there will be like a carnivore that like steps out of line and they might get killed or hurt, right? But aside from that, they don't have to change the people that they are. So, and then eventually we start seeing how the world then starts growing outside of the school, right? Now they start getting more into the Beastar and what it means and how they all need to strive to be the Beastar, that symbol, that model, that role model for all beast kind. And then it shows the dark side, like Ambu's saying, now outside of the school. Now it shows the black markets and how some of these carnivores have to go there even though it's illegal, right? It's called the black market. And how they have to go through all of these like things to be able to hide themselves just from school and society. If not, they'll get in trouble, to be able to get a little bit of meat, right, to satiate that sort of urge that they have as carnivores. And then it shows the life in the black market, the people, the gangs, the organizations that exist with it. Now the world is expanding more and more. I guess what I'm most trying to say is that I like how Beastars has been able to start us off in a way that we've been able to digest this universe, this world of Beastars in such a good, nice, slow way that we understand it, but also relate it with the real world, right?
Yeah. I can see
Go ahead,
that.
Ambu.
No, I was just trying to do a brief read through. I think of like remembering like the first two seasons because it's just like I want to talk about that briefly, but like I want to get a little bit more. Um, but I think what um what Beastars does really well is show like I'm gonna put this in a way that sounds controversial, so hear me out.
Ooh,
Um, the
controversy.
hypocrisy of those who pretend to be the shining image of like society, right? Or like, you know how like we always talk about how like there's skeletons in everybody's closet, and even sometimes like the people we think are really good people have like skeletons hiding in their closet that they don't want people to know about. Um, and then the hypocrisy of like the moral high ground in a sense of like one of the big things is again Legoshi trying to like not eat meat because like again like you said you're not supposed to eat meat you shouldn't be eating it and
Mhm.
it's a big no-no in society. And so when we find out who the killer is of Tem, the student in the main mystery of the first two seasons, we find out that like Legoshi figures out who it is, and then you find out that that person is like has created this idea that like eating his classmate allows him to feel close to him. It's like this moment of friendship, but it's not. Um, Legoshi, instead of turning him into the police, decides I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy to like prove a point, and it's to prove that he could win without eating meat. But then inevitably, Legoshi still has to eat meat to actually do anything, and so there's this whole like discussion on like you know not embracing yourself, I guess, is a big thing, is like not embracing who you are and accepting the parts of you that you don't love. Because like, there's a lot of I think in our world, like we when we see the flaws of ourselves, right? Like we don't see the perfect parts of ourselves. We're taught to go like, ew, I don't like this part of myself. But it's a part of you, right? Like that is a part of you that you've got to learn to accept and like rationalize with and understand. And I like that. I think that's where Beastars goes with it, is that like Legoshi has to like recognize that part of himself where it's like, yes, this is who I am, but I have to deal with it. And I think that that's a good part of it, is like that discussion on like the hypocrisy of the moral high ground. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I think that's the point.
Yes, it's a good point. Um, it's wild though, right? Like, I found that relatable to just having to mm, I think you said it so well right now. It was being like ill. I hate this part of myself, but like that is part of me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is who I am. And I think some of us go through that in life, right? We kind of get like a glimpse of the person that we are. Either it is because we inherited through our parents, or I don't know, or because of our I don't know, heritage, nationality, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it sometimes it's like some people have those sort of identity like crisis issues where it's like I don't want to be white, I don't want to be Mexican, I don't want to be black, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
this is I don't know. Uh yeah, it's wild to me that he has to deny himself being the carnivore that he is, and that this society forces him and other people to be like that, and that it shows us that animals really can't live in a society, period, man. They're just gonna eat
Yeah.
each other. They're animals. What, Umbu? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
No, I'm just sitting here because like it's I'm just thinking to myself about how like the show strives to like deal with complex issues, and I feel like it's hard to encapsulate it in words like what it tries to convey. Um because there's a
Yeah,
lot to unpack in Beastars, and like
it's
you and
a
I talked about this
ton.
like on the side earlier, where it's like you could go in depth about it, but it's also kind of like hard to kind of put it in words and like shape it in a
Yeah,
way that like makes
conceptualize it.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But one of the big things, I guess I'll just dive into it, that I do like that it's finally addressing is again the idea of a homogenous society versus like um, you know, what's underneath the surface, because it's like in season three, we find that the discussion on intermixed couples or
Right.
interspecies
That
couples.
warped my mind when we finally touched that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like what the main antagonist is a mixed species, right? Who is like driving a lot of the big issues underneath like the perfect society, and then you find out that Legoshi is actually mixed too, but again, but his mom was much more mixed, and he's not as much. So that's why he's more of a wolf, but he actually has Komodo dragon in him. And like there's a whole backstory about his mom and like what happened to her and why she uh deleted herself out of existence. Um and it's tragic, but like again, it's the whole discussion on like the perception of society, and then not fitting the mold, and then how you get treated as less than or like a second class citizen, and the fear of that, you know um there's a it's very tragic.
It's a broken society because speaking of
Yeah,
the mold, right? That should be the Beastar, right? We find out that the Beastar is actually pretty broken. That mold is already
yeah.
pretty. That mold of what what people should be aspiring to be is pretty warped, man. I
Hmm.
mean, they do everything to keep society going, but again, you can see that it is to benefit again the herbivores, which again, if you're the Beastar that represents all of beast kind, you shouldn't have to have like you should be impartial, man. And he is
Hmm.
just partial.
Oh,
Straight up.
100%.
Straight up,
Yeah,
man. And it's weird also how he ends up being tied up to Legoshi and his history and his life. Um
yeah.
but it's a broken society. I guess that's also what makes this series hard to describe, guys, because it has a lot of different moving parts. Uh it deals with a lot of different complex things, such as again racism.
Yeah. Well, and then like, man, like the whole discussion on again like suppressing who you are again with the carnivores. Like you think about in season 2 when Legoshi eats the bug, right? And the bug is like, "Bro, you denied me a chance to be a freaking moth." But then he talks about how like life doesn't discriminate, and it's just about like respecting life and understanding the like natural cycle of how life is. And then there's the whole discussion in season 3 about how ocean life, which is something I was surprised
Oh
they dove into,
yeah, that's
because
true.
there's
They
another
dove
layer to that.
into? Huh?
Oh my
They dove
god.
into? That was a good one.
But like
That's a
I love that though, because then again like one of the characters talks about again like in ocean life it's either eat or be eaten, like, and then also like how if they're dead already, then like how is it disrespectful to eat them. And there's this whole discussion on like not accepting who you are in that way. And again like discussing social perception, because even like the so in season 3 Legoshi works at an udon shop, and then the owner and the cook is a barn owl who is a carnivore, and he talks about how like people were afraid of him, and didn't understand, and like were worried about what he would do, and then they started to like let go of that discrimination, that bias, and like the racism, let's call it that, and actually realized
that
he
is what
made
it is.
damn good ramen, and then they went to a shop and they became regulars. And like the show kind of points out how like um how easy it is to fall into the trappings of social image and like social scripts, and then when you peel away at that and you see like who people are for who they are,
Mhm.
that like it changes things. And like you said, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like getting back to the whole discussion on the fallacy of the moral high ground, the Beastar is supposed to be like the altruistic for the good of people, but then you find that the dude is using corpses for his carrots, and he's a herbivore that's like, that's the best nutrients, that's what I'm gonna use, why don't I'll turn you into it as a
The
carnivore.
bodies of the carnivores
Yeah,
that he slain.
it's crazy.
Dude. Dude,
So,
it's broken. Again, like I said, that society is not meant to last because
yeah,
the mold is broken.
yeah,
The highest form of not authority necessarily, but I guess he does get a lot of leeway, right? As the Beastar, he said it himself. So I guess,
yep.
yeah, maybe the highest form of authority in that society is completely broken and corrupt. Yeah, that's the word.
Government
It's
corruption. That's
corrupt.
it. Yep.
Boom. We just talked about now government corruption. Great. This series has everything. Corruption, drugs, sex, drama, action, dude, as
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about, guys. So I
Yeah.
understand Ambu why he doesn't even know which way to go about this because it's just it,
It's
it
hard.
it's hard. But I will say this, like I was saying earlier, Beastars does do a good job in every single one of these seasons to allow us to digest each bit of its universe. Again, season 3 right now, again introduced us to more of the underworld, the ocean life, the
Yeah.
Beastar. I'm looking forward to whatever comes next after this because I don't know what space. Are they going to go into space? Is there space animals? No, there's no space animals.
That would be funny though.
That would be funny. But I really don't know what would come next. I'm guessing it's going to conclude after this.
It is. And I will say this, everybody. Normally, I think Silver and I are usually in agreement of like read the manga and then watch the anime, do both. But I will say this: I haven't read the manga, but I have done a little research on like reading like the Beastar subreddits and like reading stuff on season 3 because I was curious, you know. It's one of those ones where a lot of people do not recommend reading the manga and just watching the anime because the anime condenses the good parts of the manga and is putting it into a more digestible format. The manga does have some things that are very interesting in the sense of like fillers or like slice of life moments that if you like that, give it a shot. But in terms of like if you're more story driven, character driven, like you like to see story like plots not like disappear and like they're cohesive, then just watch the anime. That has been recommended by fans of the manga, because they've said that like whether it's because supposedly because of what it touches upon, there might have been some how do I put it, government corruption in the works on keeping it from going where it wanted to potentially go.
The mold was broken. See what I mean?
But no, actually, there is discussion on like whether or not because they don't want this discussion to be about like the country and everything. That Paru, the author, might have actually had to alter a lot of like some discussions because of like how it touched too close to home. That's why the anime might be better to watch because it's not flinching away from that and it's much more consistent.
Japan's like, how dare you show the true Japan? No, none of that. It's weird how a lot of Asian countries are like that. They just
trying
don't
to
want...
present a clean image. Sorry, I interrupted you. Please go on.
No, that's all I said. It's weird how a lot of these Asian countries like to do that, and they're like, no, we're perfect, we're better, we're smarter, everything's cleaner, everything's great, and then it's not.
Which is what makes Beastars so good because it just kind of points out like, yeah, here's this like perfect picture perfect society, but then here's all the nasty stuff that's hidden underneath it with everything going on. And then even like funnily enough, like some of the what is it, like the Shishigumi, which is like the main Yakuza group in this show, is like they actually are, they seem, I mean, like they're upheld by their more like their code and their ethics, but they're not inherently bad people. Like you actually get to know them as characters where you're like, okay, like yeah, they do some shady shit, but like they're still people, right? Like
they're still like to a point, not just an organization, but they're a family.
Yeah.
They have values. They have each other's backs, you know. And honestly, what is a family but a group of folks that like have your back and will support you,
Yeah.
And that's what these guys are. It shows the light side of the dark side.
Well, I think it just shows that even the brightest spots have the darkest edges, and like even the darkest spots have like the cracks and like some light to it. Like there's no outright good or bad in life. I think that's what it tries to display is like there's no like black or white. Life is very gray. There's different shades of black and white, and like depending on where you lean. But at the end of the day, like the idea of absolutionism doesn't fit because, like you said, it cracks, it crumbles. It's not built to last. Having that type of like absolutionist perspective will find little cracks and contradictions and hypocrisies and everything. And I think that's what Beastars does a good job of displaying is like you can't have perfection. Imperfection makes the world what it is. And to deny it means you deny how the world is. So,
And God, does this world have a lot of imperfections. Jesus. It is terrible. But I'd love to watch it. But I enjoyed watching it. It was great. It was great. For a while I thought it was just gonna be like fan service at the beginning, but no, it went somewhere.
But do you recommend it?
Oh, yes. I recommend the anime for sure. I have not read the manga because I still feel very awkward about things.
That's okay.
So,
okay.
But yeah, that's all I'll say. You should watch the anime. The anime is very good. It's very well put together. Read the manga. Put in the comments. Tell me, should I read it? I will try. I can't promise you I will.
Just put in there, Silver, read it. Don't even question it. Just put it in there.
I just don't want to go on a list if I start reading it, like, that's how it feels like for me. Like I feel like I'm gonna go on a list if I start reading Beastars.
Honestly, man, I can't recommend reading the manga because of what I've heard. But I can say that the anime is well done. It touches upon a lot of uncomfortable subjects that I think is worth visiting, and like also questioning yourself, like if you feel like you relate to some of the characters, maybe there's some soul searching to be done. I think it's worth it.
Find your inner wolf, guys.
But at the end of the day, like it's a good show. Just you won't be on a list. Don't worry if you watch it. You might have people questioning, but it's
just don't. You know what?
Show.
You know that those precautions y'all take to watch some hentai. Use those same precautions to read Beastars, okay? Just don't read it anywhere public. Maybe you're just taking a break from work during your lunch, and you're just you're just laying in your sofa, and you're like, oh hey, check out this Beastar manga, and take it from there. Yeah, that was weird to say.
But anyway, chat, just please, or everyone, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know another show that you think you'd recommend that maybe is similar to the concept of Beastars. Let us know if you really enjoyed Zootopia, I guess, if you're looking forward to the sequel. But also, like we're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, the usual ones. And I guess we will see you the next time that we see you. Pay your tabs and have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Pay your tabs. Furries are cool, I guess.
You heard it.